All right, so we are here playing Bubballistic, and I'm joined by Rhett, aka how do you say your username?
Ecremprown.
Ecremprown. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start into level 2 here. And if you can talk a little bit about your background in game development, and this was a solo project?
Yeah. So it's mostly just for fun. I started like maybe 3.5 years ago. Pretty much exclusively Unity. Um, I'm a CS major right now at university. Um, Done a few game jams. I did pause to play, so you interviewed me for that last
Mhm.
year. Um, that's probably like my most well-known project. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call that up here because I do remember. And then yeah, you ended up getting it through onto Cool Math Games, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did like a full version after the jam, and that one's on Cool Math.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad that worked out. And yeah, so this time around, I mean, have you been working on anything in between, or are you mostly just participating in jams here and there?
Um, kind of, I mean, both. I've got like several big projects that I work on from time to time, but I'm not really close to finishing any of them.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the games, pretty much all the games that I finished are for jams.
Yeah, I totally know what
Yeah,
that's like. It's interesting you have to maintain this sort of balance of like too big, too small. Like with the enemy turrets shooting at you, I kind of assume that they are like it almost looks like if I catch the bubbles, then it's a good thing.
yeah, sometimes it is, but then if you get like too big,
Yeah.
you want to avoid it. It was a weird. It's kind of hard to balance, but I think it's interesting. I don't know if I did it perfectly, but some people like it, some people don't. It's just it's different, you know.
Hmm. We got this little bonus turrets here, and yeah. Can you shoot the rubber ducky? Yeah. Quack quack.
Yeah, the duck is just for funnies.
It's nice to have things that's kind of like just an Easter egg on the side. So, yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind this project?
Sure. It's nothing crazy. So started the jam. Honestly, I'm not crazy about the theme. I feel like scaling is not like a super. I mean, you can definitely do interesting things with it, but I wasn't super enthusiastic about it. Um, but I mostly decided what I wanted to do based off of what I thought other people were gonna do and avoiding that.
Hmm.
Um, so like there were gonna be a bunch of platformers where the player or platforms change sizes. So I tried to do something a little more strategic and thought-provoking, I guess. I also really just wanted to not make a puzzle game because I always make puzzle games and people are always confused by them. So I tried to make more of a fun game, and I sort of succeeded. Um, but yeah, also one of the big inspirations for this game is this Flash game called Awesome Tanks and Awesome Tanks 2, which is also on Cool Mode. Um, but yeah, I just had a lot of fun with that game growing up, so I wanted to make a tank type game.
Hmm. So
And I
you
thought
mentioned,
Bubble just kind of like fits because they like combine together to get bigger in real life, so it just kind
yeah,
of makes sense.
I guess you were mentioning the fact that like some people found it a little hard to understand. Like, is there something that, given the opportunity to sort of do things differently, like would you have tried to communicate things in a different way, or would you have gone with like a slightly different core mechanic or implementation of
For
the
this
core
game,
mechanic? Yeah.
um, yeah, I think people get confused about when you like collect one of the turrets. Some people think that that's like if the main bubble dies, then you'll still live. because you've got like that bubble. I think I should have communicated that better and just like made each of the different types of enemies look more distinct. Because it can get confusing. And then people, like, there's also this double shoot. Like, people don't realize that they're like killing themselves when they accidentally do another extra shot, and then they're just like confused on why they died. So
Yeah, I did see that there was some of those things that you were already planning to address in the post-gen version. Man, some of these little turrets are so aggressive. Are they, what kind of, AI are they following?
it's just a combination of A-star pathfinding and then just checking different values. Basically, when their health reaches a certain point, they'll go run off and get more bubbles so they don't pop themselves, and then they'll come and find you again. So that's just, I pretty much use state machines for like the majority of my programming. So it's just A-star and then that. But yeah, the only AI involved is pathfinding.
Yeah. I just meant in terms, like, I could see that very distinct moment where they, like, run off to go get bigger, and I was wondering what was, sort of influencing that.
Yeah, it's because they work the same way as the player. They can get too big or too small. And when they get too small, they go off and like restock so they don't pop themselves.
Yeah, it's an interesting sort of balance you're trying to strike. Just in terms of, like, because you don't, like, there are some circumstances in which it's actually advantageous to take hits. It's just a little unusual. No.
It can get a little buggy. Oh gosh, you're about to pop.
I do think one small thing that would be nice is if you beat a level and you still have a little turret following you, that it sort of just automatically gets converted into coins.
Yeah, that's kind of just like a standard thing for this type of game. I wanted to do something unique with the money, because like, I don't know, I just wanted to do something different, and also incentivize picking up the turrets that you've killed, because it's kind of like when you pick them up you get smaller, so it's like kind of a con, but they also fight for you so you get some more ammo. But then also, like, only the ones that you've picked up, when they pop, that's when you get money. So I kind of just wanted to give some sort of incentive to pick those up, even if you weren't going to use them to fight.
I think I just fired too much and killed myself there.
Yeah. Yeah, I just need to communicate a couple things better.
Is there a specific way that you have in mind that you're going to try and tackle that?
Right now, really the only thing that even communicates it is that the camera follows the central one, but that's not really that helpful. I mean, make them visually distinct. Also, I could just put a tutorial like text in that says the main bubble is the one that needs to stay alive. And then it also says that when the secondary bubbles pop, it gives you money, so you could infer that you're not going to die if those pop, but like it doesn't say it explicitly.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, probably I would just put a tutorial in and then make each of the different bubble types more visually distinct.
I'm going to buy some upgrades because I keep on killing myself or getting killed on just the third level. Let's increase the amount of health we can get. Let's increase our speed. And let's try that level again. All right. So, what would you say is the most difficult problem that you encountered during the jam, and how did you go about solving it?
Uh, Probably balancing,
Mm-hmm.
which it's still not that balanced. I mean, it was a lot worse. Yeah, there was the problem of like it doesn't make sense that when you're like fighting off like a one-on-one that more mass can be generated from like shooting bubbles at each other, but you kind of have to do that so that you don't have to constantly restock, um, so that you're like able to defeat the enemies. So it was just honestly just a lot of number tweaking and making sure it like felt okay and you didn't have to constantly go restock at the bubble grate.
Yeah.
And then making the enemies like not too difficult to kill,
Mm-hmm.
and also not like flood you with bubbles super quickly.
Yeah, you want the combat to have this sort of like back and forth flow in terms of the like the timing that you have, like the way that you time your shots, right?
Yeah. Yeah, balancing was definitely took the most time. And then level design. I tried to make unique levels. There's still like a lot of different and I tried to like do different types of strategies too. Like you could push the spikes into the enemies so you don't have to like fight them. I just tried to make fun different strategies so that the gameplay didn't get too repetitive. And different types of mechanics like these currents.
Yeah, I
And
saved
I
place
didn't get to
enough.
fully flesh out every idea, but
I guess the maybe one thing that might make a little more intuitive sense was if like I guess what I'm wondering is there a reason that you didn't make it a little more traditional in terms of you defeat an enemy and you get coins from them, and then like maybe you can use those coins to buy additional turrets? Like I think a lot of the confusion is coming from the way that the turrets kind of incorporate onto you.
yeah, I mean I had the idea of like buying like protective turrets at the beginning. Um I I just thought it was fun to be able to once you like pop the bubbles you can just like it just made sense to me that you like give some of your mass to that turret and it like becomes a part of you. Um and I thought it would just be fun to be able to use the enemies that you've destroyed.
Mhm.
And then the reason they don't drop money like right as you kill them is because they're not completely dead. I mean, I guess I could. It would still make sense. But they still have that little turret that they left behind. And also sometimes you don't want to pick up the turret
Mhm.
because it takes away your mass. And
Right.
also sometimes it just gets in the way. And if I like drop the coins around the same area, then you might like accidentally pick it up while you're trying to get the coins.
Oh, like right now actually would be a bad time for me to pick that up because I'm so teeny.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering like how you can make this more inherently intuitive, because like you do want to have this sense of being able to like integrate enemies onto yourself, and like you said, there should be an intuition for how bubbles work, because we encounter bubbles in our daily lives, and it's the idea of like multiple small bubbles like glomming together makes sense. It should. Oh, big whirlpool. Where's that take me? Or is that death? Or is that just... Okay. Uh, this is actually a much bigger level than I thought.
Yeah, and I think right there it's really easy to get confused when like your main bubble's like super small and your like attached bubbles are a lot bigger. It looks like
Mhm.
you're not gonna die. One
I guess
thing I
that's
wanted to change
yeah.
was like also with the life bar, make it change colors so that like when it's in the middle it's green, and then when it gets close to the edges it turns red.
Mhm.
I think that would help a little bit.
I guess the other sort of thing that would make a little more sense to me is if the you only ever have one bubble and the um whatchamacallit, the turrets can still attach to you, but then they don't make separate bubbles which can then separately pop and have their own bars. It's it's tricky. Like,
Like health bar, you don't like that?
well, I think it's just a little unwieldy. Like I'm trying to see if there's a more simplified version of this that might come across as a little more intuitive. And I'm totally just
Yeah.
spitballing here. Like don't take any of this as like, oh, it must be this way for it to be better. And just if I say something that sounds right to you, then you can be like, oh, cool, I'm stealing that, and
Yeah.
do that.
No, I think having a ton of health bars is definitely a little confusing. Um, but with the way I wanted it to work, it
Mhm.
just made the most sense. And like right there, you're about to die if you shoot, but it doesn't look like you're about to die.
Right, because I'm actually tiny and there's a separate bubble that's much bigger than me. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely a problem.
Because if you were just a bubble and you bump into other bubbles and that makes you grow, and then you shoot off bubbles and that makes you shrink. Um, maybe like what if you didn't have a maximum size necessarily, unless your bubble actually became so large that it compressed against the bounds of the walls?
Okay, I mean, I could do that. I feel like that would get kind of chaotic.
Just
Um,
in insofar as like in some of the smaller tunnels that would naturally limit your maximum size, but you'd be okay as long as you're not actively being shot, and that could make it disproportionately difficult if you're in a narrow hallway and you get shot then you just die instantly. So I don't again, just throwing ideas out because I don't know if that's necessarily better.
yeah. Um, think I think that would kind of like make the game super easy, because then there's no balance like when you're fighting the enemies.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about getting too big.
Yeah, because I do understand the idea of like with bubbles it is this balancing act of like you don't want to be too big or too small. And if it's just one or the other, like if you're just trying to avoid becoming too small, then there are already other games that do that kind of thing, like bubbles or ooze games or
Yeah,
whatever.
there's literally a game called Bubble Tanks.
Okay.
It's not like this, like it's different, but it's still the same theme basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's you know, I guess it's one of those things that might seem simple, but the more you dig into it, the more you realize like you've actually kind of landed on a very, I'm going to say, a very good local maximum. That maybe there is some other way of approaching this problem that might reach higher highs, but any small permutation from here probably just results in it becoming like worse or more confusing or less interesting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Um, so I guess just overall, let's back up and talk a little bit about the actual development process for the game. So, did you start out with just like building the mechanics first and then get into level design, or was there a bit of a like back and forth mix as you were adding new things to the game?
I pretty much finished all the main mechanics. I think I started um another like thing that I was kind of excited to make was like the enemies are like basically the same as the player,
Hmm.
so I don't have to make like a ton of different. I don't have to make a ton of different art. I don't have to make a ton of different code because I can just have a state where they're like good or bad, but it's essentially the same functionality. Um, so I just felt like I was making more progress. But yeah, I started with like making all the different enemy types, coming up with ideas, just getting all the movement, feeling good. And then I worked on the attaching. The attaching was kind of difficult. I've worked with Unity joints, like the 2D joints, a lot in some of my other games, so I'm a little bit familiar with them. Um, so that didn't take like super long, but it was still kind of a pain. Um, and then yeah, I pretty much did all the main mechanics first, and then added like little things here and there, like that type of bubble wall right there. I knew I wanted there to be something like that. So I made that. I made the spawners, and then I had to do the enemy AI too, and I realized that I actually added the bubble like spawners a little later, like the grates, because I realized there's gonna need to be like a constant source of bubbles. And then I thought it'd be cool if like the enemies didn't kill themselves, because that was like kind of dumb and too easy. So I made them go back and do that, like go back and collect bubbles, and that was fun. I thought it was fun how they just run off sometimes.
It does feel nice to
And
give enemies that kind of secondary objective so that it feels like they're not just single-mindedly pursuing you. Oh
yeah.
no! You can really get
Oh
trapped with some
yeah,
of these bubble
yeah,
rays
like
sometimes.
spam right there. And then I started doing levels here and there. Um, I originally wanted to do 15 levels, but then that's just too much. For people that like want to actually finish the game. And also I was running out of time, so.
Even now, I think it's pretty hefty as far as a jam experience. Like,
Yeah, it's long. I think I'm gonna make shorter games from this point on, for jams at least. Because like all of my games have been pretty long.
it is something that I found that even with our game, like the main level might take like people 5 minutes to play through and then speedrun it in 30 seconds or less, but that just leaves you with a bunch of comments saying, wish it was longer, would love to play more. That's not a bad thing, as opposed to having this feeling of like, well,
Yeah.
I kind of gave up and wandered off because it was so long that I didn't want to keep playing.
Yeah, I've learned that, especially from this gem, that people just don't want to play super long games. Even if they are, like, even if the levels keep having unique concepts or like explore different things, which I try to do. People just want to play short games in these types of jams.
Yeah, I think that's just the case with jams in general, is that people are not necessarily looking for particularly long experiences. Like, especially if they're trying to play a bunch to give feedback on, or in my case, like, streaming it to give feedback. If it's short, I just play through it multiple times. If it's long, then I can't cover the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, so then overall, and then like did you have the menu system in place from a previous project, or was that something you actually whipped up for this specifically?
No, I did it for this. Oh, the menu? Did you notice how there's physics in the menu?
Yeah, I see that the thing's actually like bumping around.
Yeah. I just thought that was a fun idea.
Are you actually moving the colliders? You must be.
Yeah, they're not even UI objects, they're just colliders
Yeah,
with
yeah.
rigid bodies.
do they have like a rough position of where they're supposed to be, or were they just come like completely wander? It looks like they're just going wherever.
Yeah, they pretty much just wander. It's just sometimes they get stuck and they stop moving. But they're like bouncy. They have bouncy physics, and there's like some forces that like on the edge that was supposed to prevent them from stopping, but apparently it's not working. But I just tried to lean into the theming pretty heavily.
Yeah, I think it gives
What do
a
you think
great
about
sense of.
the visuals overall?
Oh, you've got like the sort of like Verneuil noise pattern in the background, right?
Yeah.
It's also like really nice and soothing. Like just yeah, overall it is very polished. I guess I have to ask now, like what percentage of the overall like 96 hours did you end up using for this project?
Most of it. Pretty much all of it. I was definitely down to like the last day, still polishing things.
Were you like staying up to continue working on it, or
Yeah, yeah, my sleep schedule was not great,
uh,
but I don't regret it. I had fun. I like putting like my all into these games.
yeah, I mean, I think it's good that you were able to like get it to the level of polish and quality that you were hoping for. But did you take some time afterwards to catch up on your rest?
Yeah, for sure. You got it. Also, school like just started for me, so I don't know why the jam was so late. I was kind of disappointed when I heard it was gonna be like mid-August, because that's like right when school starts.
Yeah. Oh, that enemy just killed itself.
Yeah, these guys just kill themselves because they don't move.
Oh, it'd be fun if, as you move your cursor, it's also like moving the things around. But actually, no, that would be
Yeah.
terrible because you're trying to click on something and you just move it out of the
Oh
way.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like on the one hand, it would be, it would, it would be quote unquote fun, but there's also nothing I hate more than a UI where you go to click on something and then like a web page where an image loads in last second and it bumps the element down and you
Oh
try to
yeah.
click on something, you click on something else instead. Like, ah.
Yeah, that's annoying.
All right. Well, if anyone has any questions in chat, I think now would be the time to ask. But otherwise, I mean, you mentioned you had a few long-term projects. Was there anything specifically you want to call out? Because I can definitely make sure to share your itch.io page.
Um, I don't think anything's gonna be done for a long time, but I'm working on like this kind of like physics-based game where you play as like this guy called the Modular Man, and like you're basically just in a world and you walk around and you can like grab any object and attach it to your body and like use it as a limb or a
Hmm.
torso or your head, and they have like different abilities. So that's like my that's like my biggest project right now that I want to actually finish.
Nice. And is there any like public way people can follow the development of that?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Maybe maybe soon. I guess just follow my itch. I actually just started streaming just like for the jam. So I have a Twitch and a YouTube. I'm not super active on them, but I do occasionally post some stuff. I think the only thing on
Nice.
YouTube right now is the pause to play walkthrough.
I'll make sure to share those links. And then if you want to drop a link to your own Twitch as well, you'd be welcome to. And yeah, I guess just down the line, if you have any other projects, any other jam games, or the project, the long term, like, did you give a name for it? Is the
Yeah, it's called the Modular Man.
Modular Man? Yes, yes. Yeah. If you are still in progress on that, but would like any feedback on it, I'd be happy to take a look at it.
Cool.
And yeah, thank you for joining me on the stream. It's I
Yeah,
I
thanks
think
for
I would have loved if we could have found some resolution to make the bubble game more intuitive. But I should have
Yeah.
asked. Did you have any like long-term plans to continue this, or is it mostly just going to be like fix a couple bugs and move on?
Yeah, I'll just fix the bugs. And I think I'm done with it. I like where it's at.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you for joining me on the stream, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you make next, and we'll chat about it hopefully on stream.
Cool.
All
Thanks for
right.
checking it out.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.